Your life is a joke. Of course, you don't see it that way, but that's only because you are looking at it through your own lens, through this sense of self and division that you've come to believe is reality, from this idea that you are this one thing divided from the world, that you are in conflict with existence and that existence is in conflict with you. It's because you don't get that when I say your life is a joke, that I mean that you are the spoken joke, the words that are used to form the joke, the thought that is used to make the joke, the sound that is the words taking shape and vibrating in the air, the audience listening, the laughter laughing, the person criticizing the joke and the person praising the joke. You're the person who is changed by the joke, the one ignoring it and not getting it. You're the person who hates the joke and the one loving it. When I say that your life is a joke, I mean that it is only because everything is a part of it, that there is no separation between you and the events that bother you. There is no distance between you and the happiness that you enjoy. You are these things. They are not something that comes into your life. They are life in and of itself. Reality has never been what we observe, but rather how our minds process information we're not even aware of, how photons bouncing onto retinas engage chemical reactions and send electrical signals to the brain, turning quadrillions of atoms, moving about in electrical clouds, held together by a magnetic force made of mostly empty space, and yet convincingly keeping us from falling randomly through things into something real. There is a gloriousness to this illusion, a necessity to the reality that is shaped before us. For amongst the quadrillions of particles that make us up, there is this life and this experience being had, these moments being lived, a genuine sense of oneness with the world, the understanding that reality is always taking shape, that life is always being lived, that you are not separate from these experiences, but you are the very experience for which are happening around you. The great confusion about reality is that we experience it from a singular perspective, when in truth everything around us, everyone living, every action and every movement in existence, every manifestation in every moment inside this eternal now is all something you are. Not a part of it, not something that is engaging with it, but something that is the very thing happening at that moment. The sadness, the happiness, the preoccupation, or the anger. All of it is something that you are intimately forming in unison with everything else. Like a wave rising from the ocean, you are not separate from all that is. We spend so much of our time trying to understand the world we're living in, not the machinations that run beneath everything we do, nor the underlying social and political models, but always our thoughts. What motivated us? Why did we do what we did? Hoping that if we can gain some understanding of our lives, some better understanding of how our decisions affected us and others, thinking that if we can piece together a past that no longer exists, we can create a future that doesn't exist. All at the sacrifice of the now, the only thing that does exist. Now, this isn't to say, as many often end up believing, that planning or strategizing is somehow wrong or bad, but rather that in our striving for a better tomorrow, we often forget about having a better today. And when we forget about today, tomorrow never arises. Because there is never a tomorrow. There is only ever now. There is no later that is ever experienced in existence, only in memory and narrative. All things are happening here and now, in this moment and in this time, creating or destroying, building or deconstructing. And sometimes, as things become clear, you realize there is no difference between the two. That destruction only exists in the face of creation. That one can only deconstruct that which is already built and build that which is already deconstructed. A front cannot exist without a back. A right doesn't exist without a left. Light doesn't exist without darkness. And as these things complement each other, they make each other, turning nothing into everything and everything into nothing. And it is in this dichotomy, that reality of perception and existence, that when we let our thoughts be the only thing we engage the world with, that we begin to confuse the world for our thoughts, that we begin to confuse our feelings for reality. And instead of the present moment, this, the eternal now, we instead are faced with the events we explain of ourselves in the past, the fears and worries we have of the future. Everything and anything but what is right now in the present moment. And in losing sight of the here and now, of these eternal manifesting moments, we lose sight of the truth of reality. Instead of seeing life as it is being experienced and being lived, we see life as how it fails to live up to what we want it to be, always needing to judge it, to define it, to condemn it, and cheer it, but never just let it be what it is, the experience from which we move on from once it's over. When you can strip away your own thoughts of reality, let go of what you believe and what you think to be true, Let go of the voice in your head that you think is you. Be instead the moment that's rising and falling. Be instead the now, for that is all that is calling. For as you embrace this understanding of the eternal now, embrace reality for reality as it is, and not as it fails to be for you, the blinds can be pulled back, the pain can be let go, and you can realize that you're perfect and complete, just the way you are.